Well, when you're dealing like something like a fable, which this is,
Yes.
you have to do certain things, but you also have to keep it grounded. Where do you have to have your psychology be as an actor, both as the character and as the person playing?
You've just got to keep yourself in the game for whatever. I think with something like this, where there's so many different factors and so many different elements that are affecting the story, and it can go to so many different places, and it does go to so many different places. You really just have to just stick to whatever it is on the day you're doing and keep yourself present in that situation. Which which is kind of the case with lots of jobs, but I think particularly with this, because as you say, there's a lot of moving parts, and there's there's a lot of unknown in this movie, and you've just got to try to stick to whatever it is you're doing on the day, I think.
Well, because the thing is that there's everything's in here is about a different perspective, about what anybody sees at any different time, and basically how they play it. Can you sort of talk about perspective from a character's point of view?
Yeah, I mean, from Pascal's perspective, he is just trying to do the right thing. I feel like from the start he has got his professional head on, and he is seeing this as a case that he can solve, and he can use his methods and his unorthodox, radical ideas of how to tap into the unconscious and get to the bottom of why this is happening, why this boy is consistently having accidents, and that is what he lives for. Like, this is like a perfect like case study for him, you know. But obviously, so that's what it's all about for him. But then, you know, his perspective has changed massively once he falls in love with his patient's mother, which is in itself just such a dangerous thing anyway. But then, obviously, as we reveal later on in the movie, it's all the more dangerous when we consider the part that the mother's played in the boy being in this position. So certainly lots going on, and I think the audience perspective changes a lot.
Well, it's hard to place certain emotions too.
Yeah.
You know, you can't really pinpoint. Love is a hard thing to pinpoint. Dread, all these different things. Can you talk about those different elements, those different emotions that had to be accessed?
Yeah, well, they're all in there, which I think is good for any story. And, you know, that's what I found very appealing about the script, that there's so many aspects, and Pascal goes through so many different emotions and is sidetracked at many different points, and he's very frustrated a lot of the time, and he's very confused, and he's frustrated mostly that this is a case that he feels that is well within his capabilities to solve, and he ends up taking on a different role, in that he also ends up becoming like an investigator beyond the doctor aspect of it. You know, he ends up getting too involved in doing the neurological side of it, and more into he becomes like a detective at one point in it. You know, it feels like so that was fun to play, because you know, there's so many different elements there.
But you also seem to love the fallibility of different characters. You know, they're flawed.
Yeah.
Your most recent things, Anthropo is another one.
Yeah.
I mean, could you talk about the flawed nature of your characters and why you love to sort of now on?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're attracted to characters that are human and relatable, and all humans are flawed. You know, no matter how, you know, arrogant and narcissistic they think, that we're all flawed. And when you see those flaws have a dramatic effect on a storyline, that's very entertaining. And you know, sometimes they're flaws that are beyond control, and like something that takes over, like falling in love with a beautiful woman, that, you know, Pascal, and that ends up being his like fatal flaw, you know. But I find that very interesting.